Viva ANC, viva! Viva African National Congress, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva the South African Communist Party, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva SANCO, viva! Mandla! Long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live the spirit of Oliver Reginald Tambo, long live. Long live the spirit of Walter Sisulu, long live. Long live the spirit of Albertina Sisulu, long live. Long live the spirit of Chris Hani, long live. Mandla. Comrades, thank you, comrades, thank you. Okay, let's sit down. Okay, comrades, Siyabonga. Siyabonga, comrades. Siyabonga. Comrades, I want to take this opportunity, comrades, to greet the leadership of the African National Congress from the National Executive Committee, Comrade Derek Hanekom, Comrade Ayanda Dojo, Comrade Kebisi Skwacha, and also greet the leadership of the province, who are all here, from Comrade Acting Chairperson and the entire PEC, and also greet the leadership of the alliance partners, COSATU, SANCO, South African Communist Party, and also greet comrades, the leadership of our leagues, the Women's League, Malibongwe, and also greet the leadership of the Youth League, Roar, Young Lions, Roar. And also greet the veterans, the leadership of the Veterans Association. And I also want to give my special greetings to Comrade Paulo Jordan for being here. I met him in a coffee shop, Paya. Comrade Paulo is a veteran, he is a pensioner. He managed to buy me a cup of coffee. I wanted to pay what, no, Zapatalela, you think I'm a retiree, Angnamali, so he paid. So he bought me a cup of coffee. And I thank Comrade Paulo Jordan for not only buying me a cup of coffee, but for being amongst us and continuing to be Ingwe, for continuing to be one of our key veterans in our movement, for providing guidance, spiritual and otherwise type of guidance to all of us. So thank you so much for being here, Comrade Park. Comrades, I would like us to take just a moment of silence, to honor and remember those of our compatriots who face great difficulties and dangers in the various disasters that we have had here in the Western Cape, Upper Cape Town, Knysna, and all this with regard to the floods, the fires, and all that. Let's rise and observe a moment of silence for them. Thank you, comrades. Mastale parts. And as said earlier, comrades, there are so many comrades who are here, who have contributed greatly to our struggle, who continue to contribute to our struggle at many, many levels. And when I got in here, I saw Comrade Keith Gosholt wearing ingubo zase Ghana. You know, he looks so Ghanaian, but also in our true ANC colors. Comrade Keith, thank you very much for being here. Comrades, as Comrade Makaka said, we are here to prepare for the National Policy Conference. This is a moment that the Western Cape should use very, very effectively to prepare for this conference. The policy conference we are going to hold at the end of this month is going to be an important moment in the life of the African National Congress for a number of reasons. One of those, comrades, is because we are following a tried and tested tradition as the African National Congress, where we put into practice our principles and values of democratic practice. We are the only organization in the whole country, possibly the whole continent, which when it goes to its national conference to elect leaders and to confirm policies, has a long preparatory process where we draft our policy documents, we hold a workshop, and thereafter, where we get almost 4,500 branches of the African National Congress throughout the length and the breadth of the country, sitting down and discussing policy, detailed policy that is going to be confirmed at the National Conference. I have not come across a single organization in this country and on the continent that goes through a thorough-going democratic process of discussing every policy position that is going to be confirmed at the conference. We need, and you need to applaud yourself as a truly democratic organization as the African National Congress. Yeah? And you are following a tried and tested tradition. Whether we have money or no money to hold conferences, this conference is a must. It must be held, the National Policy Conference. But I want to applaud you as the Western Cape, that preceding this conference, you've been having discussions in your branches. Now you are having a discussion at your provincial policy conference to confirm and discuss and dissect the policy positions that your delegates are going to be armed with when they go to the National Policy Conference. I applaud you because this is the way to do things in the African National Congress. Use this opportunity, comrades, effectively to thoroughly discuss, exchange views on what should guide the African National Congress going forward. The other reason why this conference is important, it is important because it needs to be used as a platform to renew the organization, to build the organization further and anew, to strengthen the ANC. All of us know we are going through really difficult times as an organization right now. But GOK, this is the platform that we should all use to further unite the ANC, to renew the ANC, to revitalize the ANC, to strengthen the African National Congress, and to prepare the ANC for the National Conference, yes, but more importantly, to prepare us to win overwhelming victory in 2019. What you will be doing today is actually putting those building blocks in place to sharpen the wits of the ANC so that come 2019, we sweep the boards, we win. Even here in the Western Cape, we are preparing to do precisely that. Yeah? Policies, comrades, that have been adopted by the ANC at its policy conference and endorsed at the National Conference, have by and large served the country well. Over the many years that we've had policy conferences, fashioning policy, all those processes that we've been through have served not only the ANC well, but have served South Africa well. It is through these policy conferences that we were able to come up with clear policies that have transformed South Africa. So as you sit here, just remember the route we have traversed. It was when we held these policy conferences that we came up with all the policies that have now changed South Africa to be what it is. It is these discussions that have taken us out of the nightmare of apartheid, refashioned our country to be a country where the dignity of our people has been restored, a country where we've made the progress that we have recorded thus far in the past 23 years. And it is therefore this conference that is going to be making a further contribution to do precisely that. So, in essence, comrades, the ANC is once again called upon by the people of our country to come up with very clear, revolutionary, visionary, practical policies that are going to be able to take our country forward. This we should do, comrades, taking into account the situation that we confront in our country right now. Because the situation that we now have, yes, is different from the situation we had in 1994. Possibly we had, yes, in 1993 when we came up with another policy document which we called Ready to Govern. Our situation has changed. We've been the party that has been in government for the past 23 years. We have learned a lot of lessons in that period. We have made great advances during that period. We've also made a lot of mistakes during that period. But in all things that we have done, we've moved South Africa forward. South Africa is a much better place than it was in 1994. This, comrades, is due to the policies that you came up with, the policies that you discussed in your branches, the policies that you had various conferences of the ANC to adopt, to make the ANC a weapon of implementation to transform our country. This is what you did. Today we are then called upon once again to review where we are. We need to ask ourselves, Guti, where are we now? We have achieved so much, but we still have a lot of challenges. We need to make an assessment of the balance of forces that exists currently. How are we positioned as the African National Congress? Are we as strong as we used to be in 1994? Are our enemies as strong as they used to be in 1994? The motive forces of our revolution, how are they positioned at this point in time? Are we still on track with the National Democratic Revolution? Are we still able to implement what we decided over the various conferences that we have? It is this meeting, comrades, where we also need to ask ourselves very soberly whether the policies that we adopted in Mangaung, in Polokwane, here at Stellenbosch, and earlier at Mafikeng, and all the conferences that we have held, we need to ask ourselves very soberly, Uguti, have we implemented those policies? And it is at this time where we also need to ask ourselves, what has prevented us, if we have not implemented them, what has prevented us from implementing those policies? And in the course of the implementation or lack thereof, this instrument of our people, the ANC-led government, how has it deported itself? In that course, has it deployed the resources of our country properly? In that period, has it deployed the right people to do the work they were supposed to do? Has it had the right people to execute the objectives of our revolution? So this conference, comrades, that will be held in June, the end of June, as we ask ourselves these questions, all these questions, we also need to bear in mind that the ANC does not exist for itself alone. The ANC exists for the people of South Africa. The ANC is the parliament of all the people of South Africa. We therefore bear a heavy responsibility on our shoulders. Whether we like it or we don't like it, this is a responsibility that was handed to us by the people of the country, of our country, and that was bequeathed to us by our forebears. Tasiteta, when we speak as the African National Congress, when we craft policies, when we implement policies, we must always bear in mind that we are doing this for the people of the country. Even as leaders, when we behave in a particular way, we must always know that our behavior is going to be looked at by the people of South Africa and not only by the members of the ANC. Yeah? When we go around doing wrong things as leaders, because we are given a particular responsibility, when we go around doing wrong things, in word or in deed, we must know that we are impacting on the people of South Africa. You are not behaving badly just for you and your family. You are affecting the people of South Africa. That is what we should know. So it's not a position when you are a leader where you represent yourself and your jacket. That jacket you are wearing is the people of South Africa. It's not only your own jacket. So, comrades, when we are gathered here today, what we should know is that we should come up with proposals, with decisions that are going to lift the mood of our people, that are going to inspire our people, that are going to, give our people hope that we can get out of this situation as Abantu baguti right now where we are. And this is the reality, whether we like it or not. Where we are right now, our movement is not in a good place. It's not in a good place. Our country is not in a good place. Now, here is where the issue really is important. As we sit here, this mighty, glorious African National Congress, it gives us the platform to be able to voice our views on behalf of our people. It gives us the platform to speak out. It gives us the platform to come up with proposals. Ukuthi sizawuphuma kanjani kulesigodi esikuso na. That is what this gives us. So, what this opportunity gives us then is to inspire confidence, to give hope for the whole country. That is why I say advisedly, the African National Congress, comrades, is a parliament of the people of our country. So when we sit here, you must know Guti use parliament of the whole country, not just Upper Cape Town. You are speaking for the whole country as a member of the African National Congress. Now, the conference is going to review the recommendations that will come out of here. And that is why I say, I don't know how many delegates you will have, but however many delegates you have, Comrade Kaya, now, a number of delegates will come out of here, Comrade Faiz. The delegates that you send to that conference must be delegates who are going to be sharp, be clear. They must be able to articulate your views. They must be able to go and speak what you want them to say at that conference. So, those delegates, if they have already been chosen, they must sit here and listen to you very, very, very intently and write notes. Notes, what are they going to say in Johannesburg? They must be able to represent your views. When we are here, comrades, we must then tell ourselves that where we are now, with the various challenges that our movement faces, the various challenges that our country faces, the economic challenges, the junk status that we are in now, the economic recession that we are in now, the situation our movement faces, they must then say, we must come out with practical, workable policies that will bring radical and fundamental change in the lives of the most vulnerable and the poorest of the poorest in our country. Our policies, comrades, must support a program to correct the historical injustices and build the capabilities of our people. Those policies, comrades, must affirm and empower those who've been deliberately excluded from the policies of the apartheid government on the basis of race, class, and gender. We must address the difficulties through the policies we will adopt that our people are going through. And our policies must sustain the vision of a more durable, practical era of social relations, where we are going to continue to reach out and implement our objectives of having a South Africa that is non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and has a prosperous society. That, comrades, is our guiding light. Policies, therefore, must also facilitate speedier implementation of programs of fundamental change. Now, we've adopted many policies in the past, as I've said. The problem has always been on implementation. And I would like this conference to spend most of its time on the issue of implementation and probe why have we not succeeded in implementing our policies to amahle kangaka? Why have we not? Is it because of resources? Many people will say it is not resources. We have a lot of resources. Many people will say it is because we've had the wrong people in a number of positions where we've deployed people. And if that is so, let us look at it clearly and then say, how do we as the ANC move forward with implementation of policies? Abanye bathi, no, maybe we've been afraid to implement the policies of our movement. We've been held back by a number of other things. It could be interests, it could be monopoly capital, it could be this and that. And those are things that we must discuss, probe, and then come up with solutions. How are we going to address these issues? In the end, comrades, South Africans, our people, what do they expect from the ANC? What do they expect from their parliament, which is the ANC? They expect that the ANC should adopt pro-poor policies, policies that are going to address the challenges that we have. At the center of these policies must be an overriding focus on addressing the triple challenge that our country continues to face: unemployment, poverty, and inequality. I was looking at the Statistician General report on the survey that they did in 2016, where they looked at the whole challenge of poverty. And that report reveals that poverty continues to be a key problem that our people face. And in fact, when they looked at it at municipal level, they found that poverty has actually increased. The intensity of poverty has increased. And therefore, this is a challenge, comrades, that faces us right in the face, in our eyes. And the answers must come from here. This is where, at the branch level, at the regional level, at the provincial level, at this conference, that answers must come. And our policies, in terms of their effectiveness, will have to be measured by the extent to which they address these challenges that we face. This time we need to be both creative and focused on implementation. It is possible, comrades, we have over the 23 years fashioned, in fact, way even before 1994, we have fashioned the absolutely outstanding policies. Absolutely outstanding. To an extent where other parties have no other way but to steal from our policies. Net DA or why. You know, when you listen to their policy articulation, they continue stealing proposals from our own policies because we have done the best that there is in relation to crafting policies. So the ANC has the best policies for this country. And that is why the people of our country should be voting for us, but they are not in their great numbers voting for us because we are weak in some areas. We need to check why are we weak in certain areas. Clearly it's implementation. Clearly it's the people we have deployed in implementing those policies. So comrades, as we examine this, let us focus on implementation. Ask yourself, as we come up with proposals today, what is it that we need to do to implement that policy and that policy? And policies that are unimplementable, policies that are just underpinned by slogans, because sometimes there could be a temptation just to come up with slogans on issues that are not implementable. We should push them aside. We should focus on what is practical and what is implementable. We should ask ourselves, Uguti, what is the real key issue that we need to focus on? In my book, comrades, right now, it is the issue of job creation. Job creation is the key that we need to be focusing on. So therefore, as we craft policies, we must be asking ourselves, will this policy help us to create more jobs or not? Policies that do not help us to create more jobs should be reviewed and be revised. Policies that do not help us to address the issue of poverty should be reviewed and revised. With 1/3 of working-age South Africans outside of the economic mainstream, we cannot hope to end poverty, reduce inequality and transform our economy unless we create jobs. If we are to create jobs, comrades, we need an economy that is growing at a faster pace than it has been over the past few years. That is what we need. We need an economy that is also going to grow at a faster rate than our population growth. Our population has been growing and it needs to be supported by a growing economy. So therefore, we must find ways of focusing on economic growth. It is for this reason that I would say, comrades, our focus at this policy conference should tilt more and more towards revitalizing our economy, making sure that our economy is an economy that is going to work for all. That means, among other things, we need to build an economy that is aimed at serving the needs of our people as a whole, and also creating a climate that will be conducive for far greater levels of investment as well as productive activity. We also need to improve the capabilities of our people, of all South Africans, particularly the youth, not only so that they have skills needed to find employment, but so that South Africa becomes an attractive destination for value-added production. What we do have as a great resource in our country is our people. What we now need to do is to massively make sure that we grow our economy by utilizing this wonderful resource that we have, which is our people, particularly young people. Comrades, in pursuing growth and job creation, we need simultaneously to change the structure of our economy, which we know to be highly unequal, and a structure of an economy that is just monopolized by a minority in our country. That is the real challenge of how we should change the structure of this economy so that it opens up opportunities for all our people. And we make sure that this notion of radical economic transformation leads to inclusive growth, and it does not lead to the enrichment of just a few or certain families in South Africa. That is what we need to be looking at. So, comrades, while we have made progress for the last 2 decades, this policy conference needs to look in detail how we also accelerate social and economic transformation. We also need to look at introspectively, as I was saying, on what has worked and what has not worked. And we need to be very bold. Those things, comrades, that have not worked, those that we have tried over and over and over again, and we found they haven't worked, we should discard them. We should just push them aside. We should not be trying to do things over and over and they result in failure. It's just like if people who have been given responsibility have been trying and trying and trying and failing and failing and failing, they should be put aside now. So therefore, we need to go beyond slogans and to look in detail at a transformative process which will lead to inclusive growth. We also need to look at how we expand social protection. Social protection, because, as I was saying, the statistician general tells us that poverty has intensified. So more and more of our people need protection. And who else is there to protect them other than the African National Congress? Yeah? It is only that organization which they have always trusted that must protect them. Because a government should exist to protect its people, not only from dangers of war or whatever, and crime and floods, but it should also be there to protect them against dangers and terrible things like poverty. So social protection, therefore, becomes an important issue. And in this regard, we then need, even at this conference, to look more closely at the comprehensive social protection system that we have been talking about for a long time, so that we can redress levels of poverty amongst our people. We also need to affirm our commitment to the full implementation of the national minimum wage, which COSATU led us very well at. Comrade Tony Ehrenreich, we applaud COSATU once again for having led us, for having led the ANC to fulfill the promise and the aspiration that was set out, clearly articulated by our forebears when the Freedom Charter was drafted. Oh, Comrade Paulo, I don't know how old you were, Comrade Paulo, when the Freedom Charter was drafted, but you were 12 years old. Okay. Our Boko and our Comrade Paulo. Chinabanye Mtame, we were much younger. The ANC endorsed the Freedom Charter that we should have a national minimum wage. COSATU, over the years, kept on reminding the ANC. They kept on saying, and that is why, comrades, it's important to have alliance partners. And alliance partners as strong and as militant as COSATU, because they led us very well. Because sometimes when you are in power, you focus on too many things, and sometimes you backpedal on certain things. In COSATU, we applaud them for having insisted that yes, we should have a national minimum wage. Today, we give the victory to COSATU for having taken our country to a national minimum wage. Now we have it. What is it going to do? comrades, is going to be able, is going to have the great potential of lifting 6.6 million workers who were already earning, who are still earning below 3,500. It is going to do that. I was telling some comrades, Guti, on World AIDS Day, when we were talking about HIV/AIDS, there was a group of comrades who came to the stadium on World AIDS Day, the 1st of December. And as I was talking, they started to boo me. They booed me that they are booishwa namhlanje. And the reason they were booing, and that was positive booing. If there is negative booing, there is reckless booing, there is thuggish booing. Now that one was positive booing. These comrades were booing me because they are community health workers. And these comrades were saying, this national minimum wage at 3,500, they have a sense that they are going to be excluded from it. And they don't want to be excluded because they are the comrades and the people in our country who are looking after very ill people in our communities. They are looking after HIV sick people, orphans, and many other people who are sick for various diseases. And they were complaining that they should not be excluded from the national minimum wage. And as they were doing so, I turned around and said to Comrade Motsoaledi, Comrade Motsoaledi, as Minister of Health, why should we exclude these people? And the Minister of Health said, Comrade DP, we have plans for community health workers because the World Health Organization says that we need to employ a number of community health workers so that we can live up to the primary health care objective that we have. So therefore, these comrades and people are going to help us when it comes to ensuring that we have an effective national health insurance process that is underpinned by primary health care. So we are now in discussion with COSATU over how can we make sure that these people who are in community health work are incorporated in this whole process of the minimum wage. So our engagements with our comrades in COSATU continue to be meaningful and quite effective. So comrades, the ANC therefore is expected by our people as it crafts policies to make sure that we protect all of our people without any favor. We protect them so that they also can lead a better life. And this we should do with great meaning and effect. Now, your conference here, comrades, also needs to deal with other matters, and I'll just touch on a few. One of those is the question of land reform. Umhlaba, and I have one of my great two supporters on the land reform issue, Comrade Ayanda Dlodlo, no Comrade Kebisi Squatch. They are the advocates of land reform. So we also need to address the land reform issue. Not only must it look at accelerating the pace, your conference, it must not only look at accelerating the pace of land restitution and redistribution, but we must also agree on measures that we need to take to expand opportunities for our people, black producers in agriculture and in agri-processing. Comrades Tony Andrach and us have also been looking at the question of land reform. And he has come up with very good proposals on how we can reimagine land reform that is going to be effective and that is going to lead to a process where our people get fully involved in agro-processing, in land reform, and therefore this conference must deal with that. The National Development Plan has suggested that we can create up to 1 million jobs in agriculture by 2030. And so therefore, this is a great opportunity, particularly for a province like the Western Cape, where we can come up with innovative, revolutionary ideas on the issue of land reform. We need to transform, comrades, our rural areas, restore the land to its rightful owners, and significantly grow our agricultural output. Agriculture used to contribute up to 21% of our GDP in years gone by. It has now gone to 2.1%. So it has really gone down. And it used to be a big employer of our people. It has now significantly come down. So these are matters that the African National Congress must be seized with. We can't just gloss over them and just say, this is what's happening in agriculture. We need to be worried. We need to be concerned, like comrades who are dealing with our people who are being forced off farms, like comrades Tony Ehrenreich, Nekosatu Apa, where agricultural workers or farm workers are being pushed off farms. We are the ones who need to be concerned about things like that and come up with solutions, because our people expect the ANC to have solutions. They expect the African National Congress to protect them and to make sure that the land that was taken away from them is restored to them. We also need, comrades, to deal with new things that we haven't dealt with in the past. That we haven't dealt with in the past. We also need to deal with how we continue to manage our economy. Comrades, we were excluded as a people, we were excluded as various institutions from the management of our economy. And we were deliberately excluded by law, by practice, by tradition, convention, and everything. And 23 years later, we then get landed on our lap, this big economy, that we should manage it. Now, this is all new to us. We now need to manage the biggest economy on the African continent. So therefore, we need to be concerned about matters of managing the economy. That when we manage the economy, we must not be reckless. When we manage the economy, we must not drive this economy to the ground. When we manage it, we must manage it so carefully that we continue to have investors investing in our country, both foreign and national, but at the same time, we must make sure that it creates jobs for our people. So therefore, new things such as a sovereign credit rating are matters that we should be concerned about. We should not think, Uguti, these are things that we should never be concerned about. We should get involved with that and therefore be prudent and know how we should manage this economy. And in doing so, we should always keep our eyes on the interests of our people, because it is our people that we are answerable to. We are not answerable to foreign interests. We are not answerable to certain families. We are not answerable to certain individuals. We are answerable to our people. So junk status is therefore bad for South Africa. Recession is therefore bad for our country, especially the poor people in our country, because it makes the cost of finance much greater, with the result that we spend more money servicing debts and all that. So these things, comrades, we need to come up with innovative views and ideas on how we should do all these matters. The ANC, comrades, having embraced and accepted the National Development Plan as the blueprint framework for united action among South Africans, and the NDP is essentially a social compact for fundamental change in our country. We therefore need to make sure that we implement it to good effect, because it is the one that will take us effectively to 2030. So therefore, each one of the role players and partners needs to play their role. But now the most important thing is, as we survey all these issues that have to do with policy, the policies that we have to adopt, we then need to ask ourselves, what instrument are we going to use to implement these policies? The only instrument that our people have is the African National Congress. That is all they have. Ayikho enye instrument which our people have. That is the only vehicle that they have to implement these policies. And therefore, we need to look at this vehicle. Is this vehicle still strong enough to implement these policies? Is this vehicle still the type of vehicle that will give our people a better life? Is it the type of vehicle that is going to address the challenges of our people in the rural areas, the vulnerable workers on the farms, the unemployed who are engaged in survivalist economic activities? Are these people going to continue having faith and confidence in this vehicle called the African National Congress? And right now, we've all admitted, Guti, this vehicle is facing a number of challenges. We therefore need to come up with ways and means at this conference as well, but more particularly at the national conference, of how we crank this vehicle back into life, how we renew this vehicle, how we unite this vehicle to be a vehicle that is going to implement the policies that we are going to adopt here. But at the same time, we've got a number of our people that still needs to be mobilized. We need to mobilize them on a number of issues so that they remain committed to the objectives of the National Democratic Revolution. Therefore, let's look at our movement. We look at our movement here in the Western Cape. Is our movement strong enough still to be able to implement the policies that you are going to adopt today? That is the question that we have to ask ourselves. We need to look at our branches. Are our branches strong enough to be able to implement the policies that are going to be adopted here? It means that our branches, our regions, our province need to be strengthened. We need to be united. Everybody agrees now that we have been weakened. We've been weakened by levels of factionalism amongst us. There is factionalism, there is disunity amongst us. That is what we need to address, because if we don't address that, comrades, the policies that we are going to adopt are not going to be effectively implemented. We therefore need to demonstrate, we also need to demonstrate our willingness to get rid of factions within our ranks, because if we don't, we are going to continue being weak. If we don't, the policies we are going to adopt at the policy conference are not going to be implemented. If we don't unite, if we don't renew our organization, we are not going to be strong enough to become this vehicle of change, this vehicle of revolution. We therefore need to be decisive. We also need courage and determination to make sure that our organization becomes that African National Congress of Nelson Mandela, that African National Congress of Oliver Tambo, that African National Congress of Lillian Ngoyi, that is what now rests on our shoulders. Our ability, comrades, to unite and mobilize our people is going to rest on our own ability to get rid of some of the problems that we are currently confronting. That is what is going to rely on. But it does not end there. It also means that we as an alliance need to be united. This freedom that we have today was achieved through the active participation in the revolution by all components of the alliance. And if all components of the alliance are not united, are not working as one, we will never be able to see the true fruits of our revolution, which is a better life for all our people. The President yesterday in KZN admitted that yes, the alliance is not functioning as well as it should. And that is correct. We therefore need to take steps, deliberate steps, comrades, to make sure that the alliance works well. As we adopt policies here, we need to be speaking with one voice. We need to be knowing that these policies will be implemented only if we as an alliance are strong and are united. Therefore, the ANC and its alliance partners, as well as the government it leads, are facing some of the most challenging times since 1994, as also admitted by our President. We therefore need to come up with solutions. And comrades, solutions. We should not only wait for solutions from just Luthuli House. We should not just wait for solutions from the top six or from the National Working Committee or from the NEC. You are the ones who must come up with solutions. You, as the branches, the basic unit of the African National Congress, you are the ones who must impose solutions on us as leaders. You are the ones who must say, this is the solution that we believe needs to be put on the table and adopted. Because the weaknesses within the movement and the opportunities that we are not taking up are actually debilitating our ability to lead our people as a whole. I've often said that, our people in South Africa have always looked to the ANC as the leader of society. Today, they no longer see us as the leader of society. What we now need to sit here and say to ourselves, how are we going to regain that position of continuing to be the leader of society? The policies that we adopt today will help in a great way to help us regain that lost positioning of being the leader of society. It is when our people look at us and say, hey, these ANC people, they have realized their mistakes, they have realized where they've gone wrong. We can give them another chance. We can invest our confidence in them. We can invest our hope in them. Let's give them another chance. Let them provide leadership. That is what our people are expecting. The program, comrades, of trust building, and I'd like this to be lodged clearly in our heads. We should, in our heads, have this notion of what we are now involved in renewal, but renewal and yes, unity in the organization, but it should be a process through which we are rebuilding trust, this love relationship that our people have with us as the African National Congress. We are rebuilding it and we are reviving it. This we will do by adopting policies, but as we adopt policies, it must also show that we are looking at the implementation side. So what our people expect is that our internal squabbles, the fighting that is within the ANC, must come to an end. They want to see us stop fighting amongst us. They want to see poor leadership coming to an end. That's what they want to see. They also want to see, and comrades, wherever you go throughout the country, our people speak about these things. Wherever you meet them, they speak about this thing. But even as they speak about it, they always harbor this hope. They say, comrades, stop fighting. Comrades, unite. Comrades, embrace one another. And they say, poor leadership, the leaders that you are putting in certain positions, please address that. And they say, the issue of money politics that we are seeing must also come to an end. Now, comrades, these are people who love the ANC. And these are people who are saying, from where we are sitting, we can see that there is corruption and poor management of resources. And they say, please bring that to an end. Bring that to an end so that the ANC can regain its positioning, its legitimacy, and so that its love affair with our people can be regained. And as I always say, Batanda Bafuna I love back. They want their love back. That's what our people want. So therefore, and in doing so, we will be able, comrades, to get back even the historically aligned formations. Those formations that have been aligned with us, the churches, various social movements, various individuals, various leaders, even veterans of our movement, all those who have always been part of the broad front that we built against apartheid, they will come back. One after the other, they will come back and say, wow, Apagwa ANC, there's been spring cleaning. There's been spring cleaning and things are much nicer now. So comrades, our job, Kasen Tetinyan comrades, there is no reason why we should be divided. Because we don't differ on ideology. We don't differ on policy positions. We don't differ on many things that have divided organizations. We just differ on issues, yes, of leadership, yes, issues of money, issues of corruption, and we should therefore put those things aside and say we are going to be united because the African National Congress still has a big task ahead, and that big task is to unite our people, to forge ahead with implementing the NDR and achieving the objectives of our revolution so that our people can get a better life. The moral authority that the ANC has wielded over the many years in our country should be regained. We should have a high moral standing. We should become an organization of great integrity. When we look at the movement, when we look at its leaders, our people should say, these are the people who are leading our country to a better future. And we trust them because they have the best policies that they have adopted at the Western Cape Provincial Policy Conference, that they are going to adopt at the conference of the policy conference at national level. So all these important things are tasks that we have to fulfill. Those are the tasks, comrades, that await our organization as we renew it, as we revitalize it, as we reposition our organization, And I've always said, comrades, all this we really need to do: adopt good policies, renew our organization, unite our organization, revitalize it with our eye on 2019. So that in 2019, comrades, armed with the best policies, having the best leaders, we can go and win those elections decisively, without any doubt. So, comrades, if we do not self-correct, our significant gains that we have had over the past few years are going to be eroded. We must therefore be humble. We must also be willing to listen to our people who elected us. Wherever we go, we must be willing to listen to what they are saying. The leadership of the motive forces of our revolution includes contributing to the formation of and cooperation with all the structures, civil society and various other forces in our country. And we must therefore be willing to listen. Now, our veterans have also raised their voices. Our veterans have been very concerned about the way things have been going in our movement, and we must then listen to the counsel of our veterans. We must also be able to get our veterans, yes, to participate in the process that we are going to get involved in. And I would like to see our veterans participating actively in the policy conference, particularly in the 2 days that have been set aside for everyone in our movement to talk about all these things that I've been talking about. And we would like our veterans to participate in that and tell truth to the leadership of the movement, and tell truth to the organization, and use that platform to discuss things at a deep level so that we are able to revitalize our movement. Now, the problem that obviously people who are in various structures have, we often become too close to the rock face and don't see the problems that our people see. And therefore, as a leadership, we therefore need to look more broadly and, as I said, listen to our people and make sure that indeed we don't suffer from the process and the dangers of incumbency, where we just say, siphethe, kakuphethe thina, akekho omunye ongasixelela noma yintoni na. We should move away from that. We should also move away from issues, and there are other ills that have come into the organization. Gatekeeping is one of those. Vote buying is one of those. And we must move away from that as we renew our organization and make sure that we reposition it. Comrades, if we do all these things, the African National Congress can truly be revitalized. The African National Congress can be repositioned, and the African National Congress can then move away from focusing on internal battles and focus on running this country. Our people elected this government to govern the country, not to be looking out for internal squabbles within the African National Congress. Our people want us to transform this country so that this country lives up to the objectives that they have always had. So therefore, our task is to make sure we renew the ANC, we rebuild the ANC, and as I said when I started, this policy conference gives us a great opportunity. As a comrade, Acting Chair Way to Upper Western Cape was saying, the policy process that we are involved in is something that should unite all of us. There is no argument there. Let us use that as a platform to consolidate the unity of the ANC. Let us use this to cement all the cracks that we have in the ANC. Let us use that to get us to speak with one voice. And let us use this as a process where we are able to discuss things openly amongst us, including the issues of leadership, including the issues of the challenges that we face in our organization. It should be used, therefore, this conference as a process of re-strengthening the African National Congress. If there ever was an opportunity that we could utilize, this is the process. And more importantly, we should use this also as a conference where we can modernize the ANC. We can ensure that the ANC becomes modern, becomes innovative, becomes creative, and is able to come up with solutions that are going to lead forward. So, comrades, let us move forward to build a credible and honest, patriotic leadership of the African National Congress. Let us move ahead to build a renewed ANC, a united ANC, a ANC that is united from top to bottom, bottom upwards. That is the type of ANC that our people want. An ANC that is going to move in step with its people, an ANC that adheres to the policies of the African National Congress, and an ANC that is going to implement the objectives of our revolution. Without that, comrades, we are going to flounder, we are going to fail, and the African National Congress that I know, the African National Congress that I am Deputy President of, is not an African Congress, National Congress of failure. It is not an African National Congress of defeat. It is not an African National Congress of a defeated people. It should not be an African National Congress that is going to fail our people. The African National Congress of Oliver Tambo, of Nelson Mandela, is not an ANC that is going to betray the people of our country. We must lift the African National Congress. We must therefore lift the African National Congress to regain its position. It must regain its glory. It must be a proud ANC, an ANC of a leadership that has a vision, an ANC of a leadership that knows where it is taking not only the ANC to, but the country too. It should be an ANC that is going to lead the alliance with integrity, with honesty, and with great, great courage and determination. Mandla! Viva ANC! Viva! Yabonga!